Okay, everyone, welcome to Vikings Therapy on Sunday night following our disappointing, frustrating, heartbreaking, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thanks in large part to the scapegoat of the day, which is Dan Bailey. Um, Boy, guys, I'm tired. I'm tired of losses like this. I'm tired of things unraveling like this. Like I said, I don't care about losing. Losing is one thing. But when every time you lose a game, it has to be this overly dramatic, right? It has to be this self inflicted. It's just, what else do you do? So, of course, this brings out the discussion about where this team is currently once again. And I think I'm going to put in the title of this video that we need to stop talking about playoffs. I understand mathematically there is still a possibility that they could get in as the last seed in the NFC. I get that. But what is the point, right? What's the point? You showed today, and as I said in the game preview video, that this game would show us who the Vikings are, and this is who they are. This is a team that is, it's funny because they actually came out looking prepared, and then of course it just all fell apart. But they proved to the world, and I think to Vikings fans that were still on the fence, this team is not good. I mean, it's terrible from the top down. And this is not about placing blame on anybody. I'm not here to blame, anybody, but the entire organization as a whole, top to bottom. It's not just one single person other than maybe Dan Bailey, who should absolutely 100% be fired tomorrow if he's not already fired right now. Honestly, just leave him in Florida, let him retire, and buy a timeshare or something. Like, holy shit. So hopefully none of you guys are as old as I am, where we remember the the Gary Anderson missed field goal back in, what was it, 98, 99. So we kind of make our living on being cursed by kickers. And it's funny because somebody pointed out that Daniel Carlson this year has only missed 2 or 3 kicks so far total. And I just watched Jordan Elliott miss a kick for the Eagles before halftime. So abolish kickers, right? That's something I've been saying for a number of years. So, yeah, kickers, Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings. We are now 6-7 in on the season with 3 games left to go. I will talk about the game in a minute, but first I want to talk about the rest of the season and what I foresee happening. Real quick. 3 games left: Chicago, New Orleans, Detroit. Probably going to go 8-8, miss the playoffs, I think. Maybe worst case scenario, 7-9. But, well, that's really the only 2 scenarios. 9-7's out of the question. This team is bad. It's just bad from top to bottom. Chicago woke up today. Yes, they played against Houston, a team that has absolutely quit, and Deshaun Watson got injured, but there is a better than 0 opportunity or chance that the Bears take advantage of this opportunity of us coming off a really depressing loss and coming into the Viking Stadium next week and thrashing us. They woke up today. Detroit, we probably win. And then New Orleans, I said at the beginning of the season, if you go back and watch the team preview video I did in the summertime, that I always thought it was going to come down to the Saints game, just based off of, team history the last 2 or 3 years, where they were going to get some revenge on us and knock us out of the playoffs. So I think that's what's going to happen on Christmas Day. We're all going to get our hearts broken, and it's going to be a big lump of coal. So let's talk about the game. I have issues with everything. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I don't coddle anybody on this team or this organization. No one is above criticism, right? Even Justin Jefferson is, as good as he is, and as much as it's great that we have him, I'll go after anybody. I'm not going to defend Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer and, Rick Spielman for anything, because I'm tired of 8-8. I'm tired of 10-6. I am tired of one and done in the playoffs. We need to build a team that is going to win a Super Bowl. And currently this formula is not it. This team, if this was 1990, right? If this was 1990, 1992, this team would dominate, right? Run heavy attack, play really good defense, and you have a quarterback that doesn't make too many mistakes. This is the perfect formula for a team that wants to win a Super Bowl in the early 90s. And that's not where we play anymore. It's evident today, once again, in the first half of this football game, that's what they think they need to do. And the problem is Mike Zimmer and Gary Kubiak. They need to go. So in the first quarter, one of the things that I wrote down, I kept notes as I was watching, which I'll probably never do again because I wanted to give myself an aneurysm as I was writing. Justin Jefferson doesn't have any first quarter targets. Zero. Um, he may have, yeah, he had zero first quarter targets. And then, we were talking about this in the preview video, like he needs to be involved early. He needs to be involved often. You need to pepper him with targets. Yeah, at the end of the day, his stat box looks really nice, 8 or whatever targets he had, but it's taking too long for him to get involved. He's going to be, he has a chance to be the offensive rookie of the year. And it's not that I'm worried about the award. It's just that I'm worried about we're not taking advantage of the talent that we have because Kirk Cousins is too afraid to make mistakes, right? First half of the season, we'll discuss this more in as the week goes on, but there's a different Kirk Cousins that we're playing with right now, right? There was the first half of the season where he was gunslinging it, right? And then all those interceptions happened, and we started 1-5, and the bye week happened, and then narratives came out, and now he's very careful with the ball. We have a lot of dinks and dunks to CJ Ham. Conklin got involved big time today, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't have a wide receiver 3. Irv Smith Jr., great to see him contribute today. We're really glad that he's over his back injury. But yeah, Justin Jefferson, get involved. Like the play calling, and that comes to my next bullet point. The play calling is too predictable. I actually wrote down in the second half, or what was it, later on in the game, there was an obvious quarterback draw that I thought was a phenomenal play call. It ended up working really well because you don't expect that out of the Vikings, especially with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, right? So the play calling is just atrocious. Like, we need to go down the field under 2 minutes to score points, and we hand off on second down. What are we doing? There was a play where Kirk threw up a pray and spray to Adam Thielen on a go route in the end zone. Like, he was very well covered, and the fact that it was even close was because Adam Thielen had to stretch out and make a miraculous attempt at catching that football. Like, he's covered. There's no opening there. Kirk throws it to the corner of the end zone on a go route that is not open. Like, it makes no sense. That's a wasted play. So again, this stems back to, where I started with this. Gary Kubiak, Mike Zimmer, they think it's 1992. It's not. They need to go. And then, of course, the scapegoat of the day is Dan Bailey. And this is also on Mike Zimmer. Like, we all want to say, Dan Bailey, you're fired, you're cut, you're terrible, you choked, you've been useless for 2 weeks, you're the scapegoat, we hate you. It's not all his fault, because remember, somebody sends him out there. That was a choice after last week against the Jaguars to go to in front of the press and say, I have confidence in Dan Bailey. It'll be fine. To just shrug your shoulders at the problems that are very obvious, that we've been having special teams problems for a month. We cut our long snapper, Austin Cutting, and suddenly Dan Bailey's a problem. So that just adds on to the pile of things that you've been ignoring for the better part of the second half of the season. That is on management. That is 100% on Mike Zimmer to send him out there for all of those field goal attempts, knowing that he is rattled. The 54 1 yard, I get it. Like, it's 4th and 26, 4th and a mile, whatever. You don't really have a choice. You have to, do a field goal attempt. What are you going to do? Pooch punt? Maybe you should have. But yeah, there's an execution part to it, and then there is a decision part to it. It is 100% on a player for not being able to execute the task at hand. It is another vital, important piece of criticism to point to a head coach who should be well aware, who should be able to identify players in crisis. And he didn't do that today, and it cost him a game. Special teams finally cost them a game. It took a month, but it finally happened. And that's 100% on Mike Zimmer. So Dan Bailey is not all at fault here. It's not that he missed one kick at a game winner at the end. If that was the case, it's 100% on him. But the fact that this was a thing that's been lingering is on management. And then, of course, the officiating today. I'm never one to complain about officiating. You won't see me do it very often. Today I'm going to, because Kirk Cousins getting forearmed by Jason Pierre-Paul in the face mask, that's an obvious penalty that got missed. Chad Beebe getting wrecked on that punt return after he was already down, personal foul, that was missed. Clearly they have it out for Harrison Smith now. He is a marked man who, anytime he makes a tackle, the officiating crews are watching him, and anytime they see him make a play, he's getting a flag. So I feel bad for the guy. He's one of my favorite players on this team, and he is getting mistreated by NFL officiating, who should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for this game today. And then, probably the most egregious thing is the offensive pass interference on the Hail Mary at the end of the first half that cost us 3 points. Um, and I will never say that referees cost points, right? Play defense, stop them. That cost points. That is 100% 3 points to the referees in that instance, because that's the first offensive pass interference call on a Hail Mary since 2009, right? So that's huge. That's a huge blunder. Roger Goodell was in the stadium for this game too, so he should take note that referee crew needs to be recalled or broken up or something. Um, Another criticism for Gary Kubiak and his play calling in the second half was the dinking and the dunking. Just way too many checkdowns, way too many safe plays. Like it's like we can't. It's like the offense is schemed to where they don't trust Kirk Cousins to open it up and throw downfield, and maybe throw some jump balls to Justin Jefferson. It's too safe. It's too time consuming. And that was, very evident in the third quarter with an 8-play drive or not an 8-play drive. It was an 8-minute drive that chewed up so much time to go out on the field. Thankfully, they capped it off with the Irv Smith touchdown. But at the same time, you waste a timeout during that drive that you're going to need later in a 2-score game. It's just, this offense is too slow. It's too methodical. It takes too long to get points. And that's why our 2-minute drill offense is very weird. And another thing I want to show you guys that I almost forgot, I brought this prop for the camera that had to take headache medicine because of this game. Yeah, and it's just ridiculous. Like we take all these underneath passing routes, and despite having Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, we just don't chuck it down the field. And Kirk Cousins has the arm for that. You have the plays in the playbook with play action pass to be able to do that. And they just don't do it. Quarterback draw happened in the fourth quarter. I mentioned that. One of the criticisms I want to put on Kirk Cousins for this game is, yes, he got sacked 6 times, and yes, it's part of the offensive line being the problem in pass protection, but still, he holds on to the football too long. He doesn't feel pressure very good, and I know he doesn't have a lot of time. And here's the thing: we've been complaining about the offensive line in pass protection for 3 years now. At some point, it is on, number one, management, who refuses to address the problem. Number two, it's on the quarterback for being unable to adjust despite being a veteran of the game. He's been in the league for 9 years. There is no continuity in this relationship between head coach, quarterback, and offensive play calling. It's just a mess. There are teams in this league that have bad offensive lines. Right now, playing against New Orleans Saints, Philadelphia Eagles, they're up 17-0. They don't have a good offensive line. That offensive line has been, marred by injury, and it's a ragtag group of spare parts. They should be thankful they even get to field one. So yeah, I mean, we have to come to a point where we need to stop blaming pass protection for being the issue on the offense, because it's never going to be good. It's going to take years to build an offensive line. Kirk Cousins doesn't have years in Minnesota. He has at least 2 more if he's lucky. So, that's just the thing. And even if we can't afford it. What are we going to do? Draft an entire offensive line in 3 years and hope it all works? It's just, that's not feasible. It's not a solution. And the other thing that's funny about the offensive line criticism is that no one gives them credit for the run game. Dalvin Cook is the man. Dalvin Cook, CJ Ham gets some credit. Where's all the credit for the offensive line when, they're paving the way for this MVP type season that Dalvin Cook is having? No, the only time we want to acknowledge them is when we want to throw them under the bus for deficiencies in the pass game. So that's just a weird observation I wanted to point out. I'm venting a lot. And another thing is, of course, all the missed kicks with Dan Bailey. But at the end of the day, what this comes down to is that this shows you that this is not a playoff team, guys. This is, if we get in the playoffs, we're one and done. Tampa Bay is a good football team. They have a good defense, and that we couldn't step up to the challenge. There was a guy that I forget who it was, and I apologize, but left a comment yesterday or last week about adversity. Vikings overcame adversity. What we faced today was adversity that we did not overcome. Missed field goals is overcoming adversity. Bad officiating is overcoming adversity. We didn't do it. Self-inflicted wounds like penalties and interceptions, that's not adversity. Injuries, I don't want to hear the injuries excuse. Every team has injuries. Every team is missing star players, some more so than others. But that's not adversity. Adversity is overcoming things you can't control. And penalties and missed field goals, I guess you can't control those. But, penalties for the most part, bad officiating. Dan Bailey couldn't step up to the plate and get it done today. And this is just not a good football team. I feel like, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, that we wasted something. So don't forget to leave your comments below. As is always, well, not as is always. Well, this is only the second time, but for the day after tomorrow, I'll leave a pinned comment to remind everybody, because it's 15 minutes into the video and I don't think anybody's going to make it this far. If you made it this far, leave a comment. But that's going to do it. You know, obviously a lot to rant about today. We'll cover this more tomorrow and the day after. So thank you for watching. Have a good one.